me in welcoming His Excellency Dr. Hesham Kandil, Prime Minister, Arab Republic of Egypt.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Before I get started, allow me to ask you to stand for a moment of silence for our soldiers that passed away in the road accident in Sinai yesterday. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all here today, and I'm truly delighted to address you in this distinguished gathering. We meet today under the theme, Restarting the Egyptian Economy, and I hope by the end of the conference, everybody will have a better view about the Egyptian economy, its future, and prospects. But we cannot speak about the Egyptian economy in isolation of the events which the country is witnessing lately. Today, Egypt is passing through a historical transitional period. Historical transitional period that began on the 25th of January 2011, in which became known as the 25th of January Revolution, which completed by the collapse of the old regime at the beginning of a new dawn in the modern history of Egypt. Without going into details and the various events which passed during the last few months, whether the election of the first civilian president in the modern history of Egypt, the appointment of the new government, the August 12 decisions, we can all agree that these events were all milestones in the transitional process, which is still going on. A new constitution is being drafted, a referendum will be underway, and then the new parliamentary elections. As you can see, we are building our new political systems block by block, hand in hand with the civil society in a complete democratic process. This government is part of this process. This government has a clear mission to extend all efforts to facilitate the political transformation and to deal with the economic problems within a framework of social justice. Its task is not only to bring the country back to normal conditions, but also to lead it through these challenges to a much better new Egypt. A new Egypt. We envision New Egypt, a country with a knowledge-based economy, a country with a stable and balanced social structure, Egypt which maintains its religious values, culture heritage, which ensures the well-being and the quality of life for all its citizens, Egypt which is modern, democratic, and prosperous. I'm here today to tell you all that we the Egyptian people, have what it takes to do it. We have already started in the right track toward achieving our vision. Let me start by briefing you or telling you where we are in terms of the economic situation. Since the government was appointed 2 months ago, we recognize that we have inherited a very heavy and difficult political situation. Budget deficit by the end of the year 2011-2010 was 170 billion Egyptian pounds, which translates to 11% of the GDP. Growth rate last year was 2.2%. Unemployment rate is almost 13%. The figures doubles among the youth and 4 times among the females compared to the male. New investment declined to $4.6 billion in 2010, and at the same time, our local debt reached 1 trillion and 200 billion Egyptian pounds. These are not the only challenges, of course. We're also faced by natural resources problems or challenges, social, cultures, and others. Education, for instance, literacy is around 25%, not to mention the need to upgrade our schools, universities, and the whole education system. We need to do a lot more to improve our medical services and other social services as we aspire to reach international standards, and we should do so. We also have the aspiration to bring back the 25th revolution spirit, the spirit of the Tahrir Square, where everybody would equal, and you could not differentiate based on status or religion. Taking all these challenges, the government had to come up with a comprehensive plan to restart putting the country on the right track, regaining our ability to grow, reducing our budget deficit, creating new jobs, and increasing our investment. Budget deficit, as I mentioned, almost 11% of the GDP. More than 22% of our budget is for debt servicing. We must also reduce our government spending to assure the reduction of the budget deficit and to work on our monetary policies to ensure our revenues accordingly. As you all know, we're negotiating with the IMF, and our people are traveling to Tokyo to attend the joint IMF and the World Bank meeting this week. And then we're inviting the IMF to come for official negotiation by the end of this month, hoping that we reach an agreement by that time. We're designing a homegrown program that includes systems or intervention measures to increase our revenue and also to control our expenditures. As we speak, and today after this conference, I'll be going for another round of societal dialogue. We're dialoguing with various levels and groups of societies to ensure that this plan is not the government's plan, rather it's the people's plan. To ensure that the program for restructuring, for the financial sector restructuring is homegrown program. So we are working on this in this dialogue, and today is another stage of it. And of course, your conference will be very beneficial in this respect. Our plan in this fiscal year 2012-2013 is a growth rate of 4 to 4.5%, which would secure around 700,000 jobs, 700,000 new and real jobs. Over our 5 years plan, we hope to reach a growth rate of 7.5%. However, we want to ensure that the wealth trickle directly to the poor. So that's why we're focusing on small and medium-sized projects. And we think it is crucial to the success of our employment policy. We want to increase the small and medium projects by 30% over the next 5 years, linking them to large and mega projects. We're also developing the skills of our workforce through an ambitious vocational education and training programs. We're investing, I think investing in the people is the most precious investment. That's why we have signed an agreement with Italy recently to enhance small and medium-sized enterprises worth 45 million euro, another 2 agreements for training and education worth 100 million euro. I also signed at the beginning of first months since our appointment a loan with the World Bank worth $200 million, but that was for cash for work targeted to the poor groups. I'm mentioning it because yesterday we signed some sub-loans to various sectors that people should be starting seeing the money in their hands starting December this year. While growing our investment again is a must, the new government is determined to mitigate investors' uncertainty, inevitability. A more visible political landscape should improve the investment and the labor climate. And I guess we are witnessing this as we speak. But let me stop here for a moment when we speak about the political landscape. We don't speak only about building a new stable political system, but also about New Egypt, which is back on the global and regional stage. A New Egypt which is active in Africa, in the Arab, in the Muslim, and the whole world. And today, our president, the first trip of our president outside Egypt was to go to attend the African summit in Ethiopia. And today, our president is in Uganda, meeting counterparts from African countries. So that it gives a very strong message that we're back to Africa and we're back to the world. It's in this context that we understand that I visited also Sudan about 2 weeks ago, that we need to translate the relationship between Egypt and Sudan to become very strong partnership. The opening of the road very soon, linking Cairo and Khartoum, will bring trade, people, investment, and enhance relationship to a new horizon. And we talk about this road, we're not talking about linking Egypt and Sudan only, but we're linking Egypt, we're linking Alexandria to Khartoum, to Addis Ababa, south to Cape Town. So we're talking about major economic corridor linking major economies in Africa. I'm also traveling later this month to South Sudan to enhance our ties with this newly born country. I'm also traveling to Algeria to extend our ties, to strengthen our ties with a neighboring Arab country. The Prime Minister from Tunisia is coming to Egypt, hopefully within the next month or so. So what I'm trying to say is there's movement internally and externally, domestically and externally, to make sure that our ties, not just political ties, but our economic ties are getting stronger. We want to see leading Egypt being the Mecca for investors. We want this country, we want investors to feel that this country is really have the enabling environment for what it takes for the investors to come here and make profit and make sure that, we want to make sure also the country benefits from that, but we want to have a win-win situation with the investors coming to Egypt. I took an interesting statistics that within the last 2 months, I met 350 foreign delegations and businessmen. So that tells you, who gets the priority in my meeting list. I think also everybody realized that Egypt is coming back, and they want to be in the train before it takes off and be part of the restarting our Egyptian economy. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to confirm that the Egyptian government is committed to economic reform and to a free market economy, an economy that is committed to all its contracts and agreements with local and foreign investors, and acknowledges the importance of private sector in economic growth. The private sector investments within the last 7 years average around 60 to 65% of our investments. This year, we are target total investment of 276 billion Egyptian pounds, where the private sector is expected to play another major role, worth 170 billion Egyptian pounds, which is equivalent to 28 billion US dollars. Our aim is to make sure that this target is met. The government will focus on infrastructure, building affordable housing. We're also exploring ways and means to bring the private sector to new sectors, like to energy, to roads, to ports, to solid waste treatments. We're also exploring and finalizing our plans for starting mega projects, mega economic corridors. One, for instance, around the Suez Canal, one in Sinai, northwest of Egypt, and also in some parts of the south of Egypt, which really needs a lot of project because it has a lot of poor and many neglected areas. Backing all this, and I'm, having the background, the scientific background that I claim I have, I think we need to back all these efforts with research and development. So this year, I'm delighted to see that the budget for research and development has been tripled from the previous years. An area that we have neglected in the past, and we intend not to do so in the future. Let me conclude by sharing with you some positive news, because it's our role is to tell you what are the facts, what are the challenges, what do we intend to do about it, and maybe share with you what has happened during the past couple of months. Some positive stuff. I'm sure if you have followed the decisions by the Standard & Poor to remove Egypt from the watch list with no change in the rating for the first time since January 25th last year. We have noted a decrease in the insurance cost in the credit given to Egypt for 5 years, the credit default swap from 7.5% to 4.5%. And last but not least, decreasing the cost of insurance of Treasury bills bond by 1.25% to 1.5%. During the months of September, 703 new companies were established. This is the largest number of companies being established this year in 2012. Also, for the first time, our industrial exports has grown by 5.8% in the third quarter of the fiscal year 2011-2012, after 4 quarterly consecutive declining growth. One of the leading sectors of the economy is tourism. Last year we had only around 10 million tourists. This year we expect to have 11.5 million tourists. We expect also in the years after that the number will increase to become 14.5 to around 15 million tourists. As you hear probably today, we started receiving charters from Turkey, daily charters from Turkey for the first time. Countries like China and Japan have lifted their travel ban to Egypt. A couple of weeks ago, or 10 days ago, I opened a small harbor in Taba that will increase the tourist industry in Egypt by 350,000 tourists per year, increasing the revenue from this small port by 1.2 billion Egyptian pounds. So those are all positive remarks about the Egyptian economy that really have started to pick up its pace. I would like to also share with you that parallel to that, we are developing, parallel to the existing financial and banking system, we're working on our developing Islamic financial market through the system of Islamic sukuk. This is a huge market which has proven its success in other countries, and we need to tap our share of it. I would like also to take this opportunity to speak about the stock market. Most people consider the stock market as the best indicator and the mirror of economy. Lately, we have seen ups and downs, mostly ups. Yet only during the last 2 days, because of one of those unsubstantiated rumors, we have seen some downs. I would like to emphasize that the government fully respects existing contracts and complies with which complies with the implementing laws at the time, And any action taken by the government will not be retroactive or dealing with past contracts. Finally, I want to say that we will do what it takes to realize our targets. We have confidence in our people. We have confidence that we'll have a controlled budget deficit. We'll be able to create new, real jobs and to improve the standards of living and welfare of all the Egyptian people. As a Prime Minister, I assure you that this is the government that we will do what it takes to realize the strong and the solid new Egypt. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay. Very good. Well, I enjoy your conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Thank you, Prime Minister, again for a speech which has set us off on the right track. Please remain seated. The Prime Minister is leaving, but we're going to go straight